So spare me the bullshit about constitutional rights.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I will not yield, and I'm not going to yield for my entire 5 minutes, so don't ask again. Spare me the bullshit. Constitutional rights. Constitutional rights. Bullshit. Constitutional rights. Bullshit. Constitutional bullshit. Constitutional bullshit.
Through your freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are deep in the bunker at the Prepared Mind. We're bunkered in. We've got a lot of stuff we're dealing with. Number one, the Second Amendment is a right. It is not a privilege. Number two, we're having some technical difficulties with Patreon. So until we get those resolved, we will be broadcasting right here on YouTube for everyone. And that's how that's going to work. Hey, you want to put an obstacle up in front of us? I'll go under it, over it, around it, or right through it. Nothing is going to stop us in our message, our program to wake the world, to get them prepared for what's coming. So let's get back into this Second Amendment thing that's out there. And I love that intro that Mr. T made because it fits. Folks, in the House of Representatives, Democrats are proposing a 1,000% increase on assault weapons. What's that mean? It means if you buy a $1,000 weapon, then you'll pay an additional $10,000 in tax. So a $1,000 weapon becomes an $11,000 constitutionally protected, God-given right to self-defense and defense of the state. Now, this strategy was attempted in the past. A major court found, right after hearing the arguments, that the Second Amendment was indeed infringed by an abusive tax. Kind of a duh, right? The reason for striking down a law was that it prohibited the free exercise of a right with a cumbersome tax that excessively restricted the poor and middle class from exercising a God-given right, right? It was and is an idea, folks, what they've got, an attempt to interfere with the use of a totally legitimate right. So why should there be a tax that is so punitive, except to punish those who choose to use it? That's what this is about, a punitive tax that is there for no other reason than to make it difficult for the normal person, the average person, to afford to exercise a right. Yeah, it's a special use tax. A sin tax? Only it is not a special use. It is the Second Amendment, a right, not a privilege. And it's not a sin like alcohol or tobacco. It is a right necessary to the protection of the state and one's liberties and life. Also, folks, the tax interferes with an individual's right and duty to be armed for the defense of the state, as prescribed by the Second Amendment and discussed in history, the Federalist Papers, etc. Folks, we all understand the socialists want America disarmed and will lie, cheat, and steal to make it happen. The Second Amendment is a line in the sand issue. It is a red line. It's an issue that cannot be ignored or allowed to be infringed upon by anti-Americans. This is where we're at, folks. They're coming full blast. We have a choice, right? Now, some people say there is no legitimate use for these assault weapons, right? Well, how about this 2-year-old story about a pregnant woman who used an AR-15 to defend herself after she was shot at, to defend her 11-year-old daughter who was being attacked, and her husband who was laying on the floor being pistol whipped and beaten. And this guy got stitches, a concussion, all kinds of problems, folks. And while the story is 2 years old, the facts are as relevant today as then. Without the ability to protect ourselves, criminals could kill us whenever their motives suit them, during a robbery or a home invasion, right? Guns like the AR are light and versatile, making their use by anyone, including women in their 3rd trimester, their pregnancy, making it easier for them and equalizing their physical weakness against the criminally strong. I mean, the arguments and the examples of people stand up to physically stronger men, right, in acts of crime can't be understated. It can't be understated. Now, I've got a story. This is where the real problem is, folks. Here's some satire for you, right? Woman follows cheating boyfriend to restaurant using Apple AirTags and runs him over in the parking lot and kills him. How is this not an assault car, an assault vehicle, an assault SUV, an assault minivan, an assault car? Doesn't matter. Right now, the Waukesha mass murderer used an assault car also. Killed old women and children. And I want to know how many times, how many more before all vehicles are outlawed. It's not about the criminal, folks. It's about the tool they choose to commit their egregious crimes, right? The car is far more dangerous than any AR or assault weapon. Over 40,000 people, folks, 40,000 people die annually in the US because of cars. This madness has to stop. That is multiples, exponentially higher than people who die from assault weapons. It is the assault car, folks, the car itself. We need to outlaw all cars right now. Yeah, see how ridiculous the argument is? But John, we can't outlaw cars. We need them. And we need our Second Amendment, right? Look at Ukraine. What happened in Ukraine? Well, they were invaded by Russia. What was the very first thing the government of Ukraine tried doing? They tried getting the people to rise up and resist, using weapons to thwart the Russian invasion. The bad thing is they didn't have weapons because, Ukraine, they didn't have enough for all the people to defend themselves. America doesn't have that problem. And because we have so many civilian guns, foreign enemies are very, very afraid of us. It is a deterrent. It literally stops nations from wanting to invade the United States of America, especially states like, Arizona, Texas, Florida, right? Some of the most heavily armed people in free states. Arizona has an excellent record of Second Amendment rights being, shall we say, recognized by the government. The government doesn't pretend they aren't there. And recall, every single state has its own Second Amendment, mirroring that of the U.S. Constitution. Every state recognizes these rights. So for any government, whether it's local, state, or federal, to put restrictions and special taxes on this ability to exercise a right, it's incredible. How about a tax on breathing? Well, is breathing a sin? Well, you're polluting the planet with your carbon dioxide exhaling. You are a very bad person, right? So that's a sin, right? Climate change, climate crisis. Well, they want to tax us on that. So why not tax us for breathing, right? And consuming food as useless eaters. Their politics belie their propaganda and their agenda, do they not? I want to thank everybody for coming to the Prepared Mind, sharing this video, hitting the like button, hitting the super chat button, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes to keep the message out there, to keep free speech on the front burner. It's incredible, folks. Free speech is very important, is it not? It has to be up there with the Second Amendment. And this channel, the Prepared Mind Network, it's not a cult, but it may have a cult-like following, but for freedom and freedom's sake. Anyways, I am the secular prophet of prepping for a reason. I've been watching what's going on for years and years and years. So support this channel. Support all that we do, if you will. Because our goal, our objective, is to get everyone as prepared for possible for the hard times that are coming in the coming days, weeks, months, and indeed years. We've got years of trouble ahead of us. So get your food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and get it together. Get a plan. and then help your neighbors, help your family, and everyone else see what is going on. That's the objective here. Not to be violent, not to be militaristic, militant. No, no, no. Not to join a religious cult, but rather join in what is traditional common sense. Self-preservation and preservation of the state, and it's a right, not a privilege. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.